Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you've ever felt like there literally just aren't enough hours in the day, believe me, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack a super visual, really practical method to absolutely master your time management. It's called the Big Rock Principle. By the time we wrap up here, you're going to have an incredibly useful tool to organize your daily schedule, maximize your efficiency, and basically make sure your most critical goals actually get done.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever looked at the clock, it's say 5 p.m., and just thought, where in the world did all the time go? I mean, we all start with the exact same amount of hours each day, right? It's somehow we constantly run out of time before checking everything off our list. We feel incredibly busy all day long, but when we look back, those most important tasks are still sitting there, totally unfinished. To figure out exactly why that happens, we need a visual framework to completely change how we think about our daily capacity.
Section 1. The Jar of Life. This is the first key piece of our visual metaphor, and it really sets the foundation for how we're going to conceptualize our daily capacity.
So, what is the Big Rock Principle? Well, it's essentially a productivity metaphor that teaches effective time management by comparing a single day to a simple glass jar. But honestly, it's not just a clever little comparison, it's a structural framework. It helps us clearly differentiate and organize the absolute mountain of tasks we face every single day.
Here's how it works. That glass jar, that is your day. And the key thing to remember here is that it's finite. Because space in that jar is strictly limited, we have to be incredibly, almost ruthlessly intentional about what we actually put inside it. Because if we aren't, well, that space disappears before we even realize it. If we just toss things in randomly, our entire capacity for the day simply vanishes.
Section 2. Identifying your big rocks. Let's move to and see how this builds into defining the absolutely critical elements we must fit into our jar. To effectively fill up our jar, we really have to differentiate our tasks. On one side, carrying all the weight, we have our non-negotiable have-tos, your essential obligations. These are your primary responsibilities. On the other side, which is much, much lighter, are the elective want-tos, our recreational desires. We absolutely have to draw a hard line between these two categories. Your primary responsibilities are the heavy lifters of your day, whereas those recreational desires, well, they're super fun, but they are ultimately trivial when you weigh them against your critical goals. Think of essential obligations like school, sleep, and homework as your big rocks. These are large, heavy stones. They represent critical, non-negotiable duties that just absolutely must be prioritized. If you're a student, attending classes and actually doing that homework are your primary responsibilities. And hey, notice that sleep is right there on the list. Rest is a fundamental, essential obligation. These large stones, they have to be secured first, period.
Section 3. The Sand and Pebbles. Now, let's shift our focus just a bit to those smaller, less important activities that are constantly vying for our attention.
Now here's the thing. Activities like playing video games, hanging out with friends, socializing, they aren't bad things at all. Honestly, these are our recreational desires. We all have them and we all want to do them. But in the context of maximizing our daily efficiency, these elective hobbies represent the sand and the little pebbles. They're much smaller, way less critical elements that are meant to only fill the remaining gaps in our jar, definitely not take up the core space.
Section 4. The Big Rock Rule. This is where we hit the exact pitfall most people stumble into when trying to manage their schedules.
So, the crucial point is the central conflict. If you put the sand in first, there is no room for the big rocks. Think about it. If you pour all that sand, the gaming, the endless scrolling, the socializing, into your jar backwards, it settles right at the bottom and eats up a massive amount of volume. Then, when you finally try to force those large essential stones like your homework or a good night's sleep into the jar, they literally will not fit. They stick out over the top, the day ends, and your absolute most important responsibilities are just left undone.
Trivial tasks easily displace critical goals. That is the ultimate warning of the Big Rock Principle right there. If you schedule your recreational sand before your essential obligations, your big rocks simply are not going to fit in the jar. You end up sacrificing your academics, your rest, and your non-negotiable duties simply because you let those elective hobbies take the priority. To maximize your daily efficiency, you just cannot let the sand take over the jar.
Section 5. Mapping your daily priorities. So, how do we actually fix this? Let's jump into a quick interactive exercise that acts as the perfect resolution to this whole scheduling conflict.
And this brilliantly illustrates our solution. Step 1, literally draw a jar. Create a visual map for yourself. Step 2, fill the bottom of that jar with your big rocks first. Do this to ensure they are totally secured in your schedule before anything else happens. Once your essential obligations, like school, homework, and sleep, are safely nestled inside the jar, then and only then can you pour the sand and pebbles of video games and socializing into the remaining gaps. When you do it in the right order, it all fits perfectly.
Which leaves us with one vital, final question. What are your big rocks for today? I really want you to think about that. Right after this explainer ends, grab a pen, draw your jar, and identify your essential obligations right now. Distinguish between your have-tos and your want-tos, and take back control of your time. Thanks so much for joining me today. And hey, go put those big rocks in first.